Hello, this is Kathy from the Daily Marker. How are you today? Thank you for watching my video. I'm super excited to be part of Altenew's 2020 release blog hop. They just came out with this artist grade watercolor pan set. I probably said that backwards, but I want to show you a few things about creating these two cards. I used the new Watercolor Blooms set on the right, the new background on the left, some of the sentiments. So I'm just going to show you a few little tips and tricks. This is the watercolor pan set. It's absolutely gorgeous. I love the case. I just unboxed it here. So they all come inset, and you can inset in here and you just lift the little tab and pull it out. So what I thought I would do, I'm going to use a little knife and cut around the edges and then just put this on some paper so I kind of have a color chart, and since I don't have time to do a color chart. So that's how I'm going to open up and get my pan set ready. So I've got the Watercolor Blooms here. I have one of the Altenew inks. It'll be listed in the supplies. And I'm just stamping a pattern on some watercolor paper, and then I'm going to watercolor it with these beautiful watercolors. I've used this technique before, watercoloring over a solid stamp, and it's super fun. Now I'm putting some water into the wells, and I put some paint onto the palette just to get a more watery wash. And these watercolors are so nice and creamy, and the colors are beautiful, and I really enjoyed using them. Now I'm going to zoom in a minute, but you'll notice that I spend a lot of time removing the paint from my brush. That way the entire area doesn't get washed. I want some of that ink to show through. Now I'm doing it again here. Sorry, I'm by a big window and the sun keeps changing. So I put down my color on that little petal there, and then I rinse the color off. I'm just adding a little bit of the concentrated color here, and I'm extending the line there, and then I'll rinse my brush again. I've talked about this a lot. I do it all the time. It's what I call easy watercoloring. So once I rinse my brush, then I make sure that I have a gradient look on each petal. So you always want to have your cloth close by, some water. You don't need a big jug of water. I love to use these little antique. This little salt, it's got a little silver rim. It's just more fun. You don't need a big jug. I also like to use my quote-unquote dirty water because this will get dirty-ish with purple, and it makes a nice wash, which I kind of did on my background on the other card. So for each little area on this rose, I'm just doing the exact same thing. I'm putting down a line of color with my brush, pulling the color down a little bit, and then I'm bringing some water to meet it. I'm rinsing that brush. I know I sound like a broken record. Maybe some of you need that reminder. So while I finish this, I'm doing the same thing. The next coloring challenge is starting March 1st. I haven't done one thing to get ready. I haven't even had time to announce it yet. So I'm super excited to start coloring every day. Unfortunately, I can only do it when I'm doing the coloring challenge. Now here, I'm doing the same thing. I'll bring in a little bit more color just on the sides there. So then the eyes drawn more towards the center, which is the lighter area. It doesn't matter what area is darker, what area is lighter. You just want the contrast, and it's pleasing to the eye. And it doesn't matter if you pick it up straight from your palette, it'll be a little bit more concentrated, or if you put some of that paint into a palette and water it down a little bit. So I'm going to save you some time, I'm going to put this on super speed in a minute, and then I'll just talk about what comes next. So I stamped a pattern. I just made a random pattern. You'll see that some of the leaves I didn't do a good job stamping, but I don't let that bother me. You can correct that when you're painting the leaves or whatever it is. So in a minute, I'm going to add a first layer of color on the green leaves. Sometimes I'm like, is it a petal? Is it a leaf? Okay, so I'm adding just kind of like some mustard, and then I mix some green and blue, and I'll drop that in later. Very basic watercoloring. I just wanted to play and enjoy these new watercolors today, and that's why I made 2 cards, because I really just wanted to play around with them. And I'll be traveling. I'll be packing these in my suitcase. So that's that. But notice that I'm trying to leave some white on those leaves. There is white on them already. Now this is the new dotted background that I used, and I just picked up the color that was on my water container just to get some washes on that background. Now that the card with the bright flowers, I decided I wanted some sentiment strips, and I just needed a wash of color. So I just thought I'd show you how I did that. So I just have a lot of water here, and I'm just pulling that water down, rinsing, taking some of that color off my brush, rinsing it, taking some color off, and then pulling the water down further. That because I really want it gradient. I want it darker on one side and much lighter, just very watery, soft color on the right side. So I'm going to do that with 3 of the colors I'm kind of picking up from my background, which is like a really watered down red, a really watered down purple, and then this orange. So just rinsing some of that color off, or just pulling it down with a lot of water. The orange, I needed to rinse more of the color off. I guess I just picked up more color. And then here goes the purple. So this is a fun way to do a sentiment on watercolor paper. And then what I do is I add foam tape to the back. The middle one, I'll double up the foam tape to give it an extra pop of dimension. Now I save those when I'm trimming watercolor paper, and I just glue them on the back. I like my card to look handmade, and I always put a pop of color on the inside. When I glue those strips on the back, it gives it more stability. And then I'm just going to be cutting these with some scissors. I'll cut them down, see how they're going to fit. And then I'm just going to play with where they'll look best. There's a void between the 2 flowers. I knew that when I was stamping it, and so I figured I would stamp several sentiments to fill that void. And that was the artistic look I was going for in my card. So now that is done, I just sharpened my pencil, and I just want to darken some of these areas that I watercolored. So I have a sharp, dark brown colored pencil, and I'm just getting in the nooks and crannies, just adding some interest on some of the petals only. Don't overthink this. I just taught a class with online card classes, and everyone that reached out to me said that just adding that little bit of color really does make such a huge difference. So just a reminder, don't forget to do that. So for the card with the purple watercolor blooms, I just added some vellum to finish that off. Here's the 3. The purple one has double foam tape to stand out from the other 2. And then I stamped a sentiment on vellum for this first card. And you can see where I dropped the green in on the yellow leaves. So they were both so fun. I hope you were inspired, was reminded of a tip or something. And don't forget, March 1st is the Coloring Challenge road trip. The 30-day coloring challenge. Oh my God, I'm so rusty. So thank you for watching. Stick with me. I promise you more good tips. Okay, bye.